All right. The Philadelphia Eagles are world champions. They are Super Bowl champions. And I got to be honest with you guys. Just openly honest with you. I was so against the Philadelphia Eagles' ability to succeed. Whether it was Nick Sirianni's bizarre way of running an organization or the Philadelphia Eagles' ability to just win games consistently because I just didn't believe in their culture. I didn't believe in their quarterback, and I didn't believe in their defense to continue to be this good all season long. Now, I think it is very clear that the Philadelphia Eagles will likely be a one-and-done Super Bowl team. I don't really worry about them repeating next season because I just think it's a really hard recipe to replicate in terms of consistently. I think Nick Sirianni at some point is going to wear the team out. I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to be able to deal with him all the time, and I think there is real limitations to Jalen Hurts' game. And I think that this defense and offense loaded with weapons everywhere. I just don't think you're going to be able to keep those guys around forever because things get expensive. But what this 2025 Philadelphia Eagles championship team and 2013 Seattle Seahawks team has in common is the fact that there's just talent everywhere. And thankfully, if you're the Arizona Cardinals, that can be replicated. Now, one of the reasons why I told fans of the Arizona Cardinals that you should be rooting for the Eagles is because if Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs win another Super Bowl, that is like 5 or 6 straight Super Bowls, 7 straight Super Bowls, where it's either Matthew Stafford, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, someone of elite in that caliber quarterbacking, winning a Super Bowl. And it is incredibly difficult still to win a Super Bowl with a quarterback that isn't Patrick Mahomes or Matthew Stafford or Tom Brady. It's really hard to do it with a Kyler Murray, with a Jalen Hurts. But the recipe that we saw this season with the Philadelphia Eagles that I didn't believe in for 1 second, I thought the Saquon Barkley signing was a little overhyped, and not that I ever said he wasn't a good player. I just said, man, this defense has holes everywhere, especially in the passing game. But what did they do? Hit on 2 really good corners in Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, who were just locks yesterday. The game was never close. So I think what you saw was the clear recipe of what the Arizona Cardinals need to do. It's no longer a question on if they should go get Myles Garrett or if they should go chase after a guy like Micah Parsons or if Max Crosby should be on their wish list. It's now a necessity. You don't get to wait anymore and see if the Arizona Cardinals should go get a guy to help go after the opposing team's quarterback or load up this team. I think what the Philadelphia Eagles showed is you got to load it up. If you don't have a quarterback like Josh Allen, like Lamar Jackson, like Joe Burrow, like Matthew Stafford, like Tom Brady, like Patrick Mahomes, you have to load up the roster. And it's not exactly an absolute that you will win a Super Bowl if you do so. Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts, I don't think are that far off. Now, what I think is very different about Jalen Hurts is, although I think he's a B to B plus quarterback, somewhere in that range, B minus to B plus quarterback, he shows up in the biggest moments. In the 2 biggest games of his career, he outplayed Patrick Mahomes for 3.5 quarters of it, and in the other one, he thoroughly outplayed Mahomes entirely. As I continue to go through this, I got my guy Ivan in the chat, $4.99 super chat. I just want to say, Ivan, thank you for that, man. You have continued to be a longtime supporter of this channel and always here at 6 a.m., but you've been saying for a while, build the trenches. The 4-man pass rush versus a weak offensive line was the game. It's what I'm talking about. Exactly what my guy Ivan pointed out in the chat. Ivan Barrera in the chat. This team has to go get guys to rush the passer. it's also to the point where I don't think it's insane anymore if you are a firm believer of this Cardinals team's ability to win. I don't think it's insane now to say go after T. Higgins. I don't think it's insane now to say draft Cam Scattaboo. I don't think it's crazy at this point to go after a Myles Garrett, to go after a Micah Parsons, to go after a Max Crosby. For guys like me who have been saying you need to go draft a quarterback, not in the first round, probably not in the second round, but a day 3 guy, that's wrong. If you're trying to build after the Eagles' mantra, you have to go hit on late round picks, hit on early round picks, like the Eagles did the first 2 picks. Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Jordan Davis a couple of years ago, Jalen Carter, who fell to them a couple of years ago. You cannot sit there and be passive. This is also a wake-up call to Monty Ossenfort, who last year skipped out on free agency, who I defended. I also said to my last year, you have to defend Monty Ossenfort for this, because I think free agency is largely fool's gold. But if you can strategically pick a couple of guys, I still really like the idea of trading for a Cooper Kupp if it doesn't cost you that much. And why do I think that? Because Kyler Murray needs a security blanket. Marvin Harrison Jr. needs a mentor. Cooper Kupp's got sure hands, and his ability to find the soft spots and zones. I was talking with some other guys over the weekend, and they all kind of agreed with me that he still has that, but some of his tangibles are kind of out the window at this point, where they're not exactly sure he can get out of breaks as quick as he used to. But the ability to go get one of those guys is what the Cardinals have to do. Build the offensive line within. Go get a Trey Smith. Go get a T. Higgins. And you got to go trade for one of the 3 guys in Max Crosby, Micah Parsons, or Myles Garrett. Because we saw you can absolutely win a Super Bowl. And you could do it fairly easily in the big game if the roster is stacked around you. The Cardinals have loads of money, gobs of money. Monty Ossenfort has to be aggressive. And aggressive looks like going and getting one of the big 3 in Max Crosby, Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett, targeting a wide receiver like a Cooper Kupp or like a T. Higgins, or going and getting a Trey Smith to help bolster up your offensive line. Re-sign a Will Hernandez to help bolster your offensive line. Kyler Murray, who I think at this point is more than capable of winning a Super Bowl, because I believe he's just as good as Jalen Hurts. Now, the biggest difference between those 2 guys is Jalen Hurts has showed up in the 2 biggest games of his career. In both Super Bowls, he was outstanding. But consistently, I don't think he's necessarily an A+ guy. I think Hurts is somewhere between a B- or a B+ guy. So I think if you saw anything that you learned over this Super Bowl, over this 2024-2025 season, it's that mid quarterbacks, and that sounds bad, but B quarterbacks, B+, B- quarterbacks are back in. It's a copycat league. Spending all your money on the quarterback position, you're going to look like Patrick Mahomes did yesterday. And that's going to be having a team just bull rush you without blitzing once. And because you're taking up a lot of money, you're throwing to old man Travis Kelce, Hollywood Brown, and old man DeAndre Hopkins, which I could have told you as a Cardinals fan, you probably couldn't win a Super Bowl with DeAndre Hopkins and Hollywood Brown being your top 2 wide receivers. But that's what it is. That's what it is. You can win a Super Bowl, but now you got to be aggressive. And that's what the Cardinals have to do. Load this team up. Stack the deck. Help out your quarterback to where he can be a guy, but he doesn't have to continuously be the guy. Jalen Hurts, for as good as he was yesterday, wasn't really asked to carry the team. One of his touchdowns was from the 1-yard line tush push. But he threw for a wide open touchdown to Jahan Dotson. And he threw another one once again last night to A.J. Brown. This team, the Arizona Cardinals, are built to win. They just 1,000% have to be more aggressive.